I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use my miter block to get a perfectly flat spot on the top of my ring shank in preparation for putting the setting on top. Now, a lot of times, as you may know, it's not so easy to get that flat, so the miter block does an amazing job. But here's the thing, if we clamp the ring right into the miter block, it's going to leave marks, and I don't want marks. So what I did was I used a piece of scrap leather from the studio and used my shears and just cut pieces of it. Now, we always have sort of scrap or spare leather in the studio because we use it for all kinds of things like this. But if you don't have any at home, don't sweat it. Literally, if you cut out some cardboard from a relatively thick cardboard box, like something like that, I mean, we all get shipments constantly, it'll do the same thing. You're just looking for something that's gonna cushion the jaws. So, enjoy.
Sorry again.
Real life studio example, kablamo! So I wanted to show everybody this little tip for how to use the miter block. And I'm sure you've seen my videos before where I'm like, the miter block is like the best thing anybody ever invented, yippee. And I'm gonna show you another reason why that's true. So a lot of times when you're making a ring shank, you wanna like chop the top off or take like, get a really level surface so that you can put the whole, you know, the ring setting on top. And I don't know about you guys, but the filing and everything, it's very common. It's like a little, you know, and it's very aggravating, and the swearing and whatever. So we were actually doing one of these a few weeks ago with a really thick ring, and I was like, how are we gonna do this? So there's a really beautiful, I thought, oh, the miter block. But the problem with that is you gotta stick it in the miter block and clamp it. And I'm like, that's gonna leave marks. You know how I feel about cleanup. Boo, sucks the most. So what I did, low tech but effective, I cut 2 little pieces of leather. It's just scrap leather. And I cut one here and one here. And I stuck them in here. And then you notice I put the part of the ring sticking out. That's the original seam, which is a little funky, but we didn't bother trying to make it too perfect because we knew we were gonna just get it round and then chop it off anyway. And basically, I just figure out how much of this I want to remove. I mean, you could just remove a little sliver. We're, in this case, gonna kind of take his whole head right off. But this way I can get it tight in here, I can saw right against here, and it's gonna be like perfectly straight, and it's just makes life so much easier. So first, I wanna make sure that this is just where I want it and get this nice and tight. That looks pretty good. And let me get my saw blade going. Now, usually when I'm doing this and sawing, I usually set up on a bench pin. I'm not a huge bench pin fan. I'll just try to, you know, word salad, it's a Friday afternoon. I don't use them a lot because they poke me in the boobs and I really fucking hate that. But for stuff like this, it's really good to have something to rest against, so I will make an exception. Because I usually kind of do something like this, you know, just rest it on here. And, you know, I was actually talking to a student today and she was saying, oh, you know, I use my miter block and, you know, I didn't get such a straight seam. And I'm like, if that happens, it's because you're not paying super close attention to your saw blade. Like your saw blade needs to be absolutely resting against the side of the miter block. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't just be kind of like, oh, okay, here I go, here I'm sawing. Because if you do that, you're losing out on the benefit of getting that really straight edge. I mean, it'll still cut, life will still go on, but it won't be as straight. So I'm gonna start slowly, you know, to get that little curve going. But you're always better sawing slow anyway. It's like the faster you go, you build up a momentum, and it can be kind of a bad thing because you know how easy these things break. So I don't know if you can see, but you see how my blade is just sliding back and forth absolutely right up against. And if I do that going all the way down, I'm gonna have an absolutely perfectly flat top to put on. So what I'm gonna do is, with our movie making magic, I'm gonna pause and we'll do some more sawing, and then we're gonna come back in when it's almost done so you can see the satisfying finish. Nope.
I got that on film.
Yep. We do have a strict no bullshit policy, so we do try to show like the real fuckery that is working in the studio. So let me get that there. So can you see where we are right now? I had David cut through most of the way so that I can just come back in for the magical moments. Okay. And you see I'm also hitting a little bit of my leather, but you know, not worried about that. It's a very mesmerizing sound. You know, and the whole time I'm sawing this, I'm feeling for the block. Do you know what I mean? So that I know that I'm right there and I'm just about to come out on the other side. I just said that to build the anticipation. Oh! Look at that. Is that not the most beautiful thing you saw in your whole damn life? That's why I was going a little slow there at the end too, to show the sexy end shot. This is just a super great method because this trying to get those things cut really straight and flat will drive you crazy. So another super great use for the miter block, but remember, fit a piece of leather in either side. It would work fine without the leather in the sense that it'll hold it and you'll saw it, but it'll definitely leave some little bite marks on your metal and you don't want that because cleanup sucks. So you see what I mean? That piece we cut off, it's like, look at those beautiful flat surfaces. Oh, you rarely get anything that neat when you're just doing it loosey-goosey.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
So you see how we have that beautiful level surface? There's a little burr there that we'll sand off, but that thing is gonna sit right on the top of that ring with no troubles whatsoever.